I'm joined by Harry Litman of the Talking Feds YouTube channel and the Talking Feds podcast. Make sure to subscribe to both. Harry, we're recording this on Friday late afternoon. And as of this recording, I mean, this is a story that's moving fast. But as of this recording, Donald Trump has been unable to come up with the bond in the New York Attorney General civil fraud case, unable to secure even a surety to post the bond for him as he did in the E. Jean Carroll matter. Donald Trump, though, also posting on his social media platform that he has over $500 million in cash. It's what he's bragging about on social media. And he claims that he wants to self-fund his campaign, which we know is a lie. But he says that it's all very difficult for him to do that. Another data point as well, Donald Trump also announced, and I don't think this is a coincidence on Friday, that he's going to be building a new kind of Trump organization headquarters in Jupiter, Florida, that's going to be costing at least $15 million. And in the background of this all, earlier in the week, we got an order from Justice Engoron providing the independent financial monitor, Barbara Jones, with more robust powers of oversight in the Trump organization. So in terms of business days, as of this recording, time has essentially officially run out for Donald Trump. The appellate division has not ruled, nor were they required to. They accepted a surreply from New York Attorney General Letitia James that just eviscerated Trump and the argument by Trump's lawyers. So where do you see it where we are right now? What can we expect next?
Yeah, talk about a moving and complicated story. And I do think, Ben, all the options, there are a few, I'll try to canvass them, but man, they're all really bad for him, and he is in a world of hurt. Some people have bandied around the idea of bankruptcy, can't see it, doesn't even help him all that much here with a state court judgment of federal bankruptcy. And man, a total pull. He's done it 6 times, and his company has, but what a political catastrophe. And so there are a lot of people speculating, well, come Monday, where does the AG start? And, if it comes to that, I actually think she will be quite aggressive, will Tish James, and maybe go after the, whatever. It would be up to her then. She'd have the piece of paper and she can execute. Now, something to know is so many of these crown jewel properties are heavily encumbered and don't necessarily avail her that much money, but she can just, have at it. And I think the image of her having at it, African-American prosecutor whom he's just reviled, and her just having her way with him, I just think, that would be the last thing he'll do anything to keep that from happening. So that's my second, I think those two are basically off the table unless there's no way at all. All right. So now how does he, without that happening, somehow save the day? You're right. The best would be if the appellate division cuts him a break, or if James, she could, give him some more time. Don't see that with James anyway. Appellate division is interesting. You probably know better than I, but they're considered sort of pro-business. It is a very big verdict. Maybe they shave it down, but they haven't done it yet. Okay. So what can he do on his own? The latest kind of possibility is he's thinking, apparently, of trying to do a IPO of Truth Social. And when you do that, of course, you value it at whatever you want. And he, of course, is massively overvaluing it at $5 billion. But that would, on paper, give him 60% of it, $3 billion, et cetera. The only thing is, it's not enough. First, it's not enough because it would take all kinds of time to convert it, but there are ways he can help himself there because the board, which is totally in his pocket, can authorize him to cut through some stuff. But he can't just convert that money into a bond. He's got to get some kind of billionaire to basically say, I accept this as a surety. And so what we are looking at, if he can't come up with it himself, is basically some, guardian. Well, it's not a guardian angel, because think about what billionaire domestic or foreign, would save him to the tune of $500 million. One who would exact quite a price in order to do it. And I mean, it's a national security issue. If it's somebody from abroad, you couldn't exactly be, I think, a Russian oligarch because of sanctions, but a Saudi or something like that. That's our possible next president, completely beholden to a foreign actor. And if it's there's a local Republican who apparently might be stepping forward, Jeff Sass, with the Truth Social thing. But again, that puts Trump completely in his thrall. The only other thing I'll say is, if he can somehow cobble together, as he's saying, if he's not lying on Truth Social, that kind of money, I think at best, it means that he completely ravages, sort of hollows out his own business empire. It means, accounts receivable down to furniture, basically, he's having to sort of put on the block. And that's a kind of death knell for the Trump organization and brand moving forward. He would, have essentially completely devastated his own business model. Even that he would do before letting Tish James put a metaphorical padlock on, say, 40 Wall Street or 7 Springs. So all of them very, very bad possibilities, including some that are pretty bad and worrisome for us. We ought to know that, by the way. I don't think it's illegal for him to get a Saudi whatever to do it for him. But because of Barbara Jones and, as you say, the order that has been put in place for oversight, that we at least ought to know, and that ought to be a big political issue. But he is in, all options are bad unless the appellate division comes through for him. And they all, I think he'll do anything to avoid being basically, made to subordinate to Tish James. But it's a dark day for him indeed. And the eye that I'm keeping, the ball I'm keeping my eye on, is whether he somehow gets the money from someone who we as Americans would have to be worried, if he were to become president, would basically own him.
Well, we don't even have to talk in hypotheticals, because if we look at the SPAC, Digital World Acquisition Company, one of its largest shareholders is a company called Susquehanna, whose founder, Jeff Yass, is one of the largest investors in TikTok. And we know how the Republicans have changed their tune on TikTok with that, investment. Now, whether that's a direct quid pro quo or all of a sudden about face where Donald Trump started making posts on his social media platform. And it's important, I think, that we all reflect already even and follow the money of, so who's behind this special purpose acquisition company where the quarterly revenues are in the low 6 figures. It's not a profitable company at all, yet it would essentially be trading right now at, 1,000 to 2,000 times revenue, which is just a ridiculous and absurd valuation that doesn't exist. On Friday, with the announcement of this formal merger between the SPAC and the private company Trump Media, the stock dropped nearly 14%. But if the stock, in my opinion, was actually valued what its revenue actually was, and you think about media companies being valued 5 times EBITDA, well, there is no EBITDA at all because there's no earnings.
Exactly.
So
Ain't no EBITDA, buddy. Right.
So if you wanted to do a 2 to 3 times projection of revenue, what would it value it at? $6 million, $8 million? So when you're talking about 2 or 3, I think today the market cap with the tanking 14%, the market cap was around $1.8 billion or so. But nonetheless, as you mentioned, there's a 6-month lockup period for the money when the merger takes place. The board can convene to remove that lockup period. But if they do, because it's a publicly traded company, you'd have to file an 8K and say that was your intent, because they hadn't done that already. already. And then if there was an intent for Donald Trump to dispose, I think all of the people who are playing the meme stock games would all of a sudden all have a rush to stop playing the game. And I think you'd see something very dramatic happen with that share price. And my own opinion is it would tank. So actually,
and you know what
we'll
else
go
you'd see? You'd see a lot of securities lawyers get somebody to buy one share and
Yeah.
file a shareholder derivative suit. Boom.
So
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of people who are probably livid that this merger is even taking place. I'm
Right.
one of them. But what I'm most concerned about here is the protection of the retail investors there, number one. Number two, though, I think the temptation for Donald Trump to see these securities here that have paper value and his desire and greed to convert that into cash, but the difficulty of doing that will actually cause grievous harm to him as he tries to do that. So I'm looking forward to kind of following all of the machinations that he's going to do there. But, this is a hot take on the bond. And so why are we even talking about the special purpose acquisition company? Because there has to be something there to post this bond. And taking out a loan against securities would be a way to potentially collateralize a surety bond, but no
If
small.
you find someone to give you the loan, that's right.
And that's how you know that this is completely overvalued and a fugazi, in my opinion, because of the fact that smart money, the same way with Elon Musk with Tesla, Elon Musk didn't have the cash to go and buy Twitter. He put up his Tesla stock and was able to take out money against his Tesla stock, and that's how he bought Twitter. But Tesla had real value. Versus, in my opinion, Trump media, which to me is just a bunch of, BS based on my opinion, the revenue that I see there. So I don't think he'll be able to use that in the next 48 hours, but you and I will follow through and follow up with this. Any other final words you have?
No, just that he has a way of, before of pulling rabbits out of hats, I know. And indeed, there's a kind of he's setting up a kind of Perils of Pauline. If we're comparing movies, this gets a little old, but I'm worried more about the Manchurian Candidate, that he gets beholden. I'll just say, as I look at this, whatever rabbit he pulls, with again the exception of a great break from the appellate division, it really, we're talking about a big body blow. This is the worst, day and situation he has had to date, and it's real. Even if he escapes it, it will be at a serious cost.
Yeah, and look, there's never any there with him.
That's
when
right.
you finally kind of corner him and you finally see, the reveal, it's always not there. Like, that's always the thing. Aha, it was never there to begin with. And his hope was that the appellate division was going to come in and save him before, which it didn't. His thought was the appellate division was going to save him again. And so far it hasn't. But anyway, we'll keep you all posted. Harry Litman from Talking Feds YouTube. Make sure you all subscribe to it right now. Subscribe here as well to the MeidasTouch channel. And we'll see you next time. I really enjoy these weekend hot takes that Harry and I do. So we'll keep on doing them for all of you.
Great.
Thanks for watching.
Have a good weekend, man. Thanks to everyone.
It's Ken Harbaugh with the MeidasTouch Network. The film Against All Enemies, which I co-produced with Ben Meiselas and this network, has won awards around the world for its up-close portrayal of America's insurrectionist movement. It premieres in the U.S. on March 29th on Amazon and Apple TV. Go to againstalllenemiesfilm.com or click the link below. But don't just watch Against All Enemies. Tell your friends about it. It's one more way to hold accountable those who threaten our democracy. Thanks, Meidas Mighty. Let's use our power well.